A very late and unexpected signing has happened at Wrexham Football Club, but it wouldn't be transfer deadline day without an unexpected signing out of the blue. Welcome to Wrexham, Ben Sheaf. Now, the 27-year-old midfielder has put pen to paper to sign for Wrexham from fellow Championship side Coventry City, where he spent the past 6 seasons at the Sky Blues, and this kind of feels like a real statement signing from Wrexham. Today we're going to be reviewing everything you can expect from Ben Sheaf in a Wrexham shirt, his career to date, how his time at Coventry City has been very successful in such a high league in the Championship, and what we can expect from our latest recruit. So before we get going into today's video, if you're looking for the best Wrexham AFC content, it's coming your way on the channel. Make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. It's a big signing. Let's go for a big like target. Let's go for 650 likes for the signing of Ben Sheaf, and by the time the video ends, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below on our latest signing. Now, starting off with Ben Sheaf's career to date. Now, Sheaf broke through at Arsenal's academy in 2014 following his signing from West Ham United, and he spent 7 years at the Gunners in the academy ranks, and of course breaking through to the first team, which we're going to be talking about now. Arsene Wenger at the time of Arsenal quoted Ben Sheaf on his ability to play football and his good ability, on the ball and on the pitch. He quoted, "He's always ahead of the game," which, to hear from a manager like Arsene Wenger at such young age, is just a massive compliment, and I'm sure that gave him a real boost in terms of his confidence. And if we're looking at Ben Sheaf in the academy at Arsenal, he had a string of really good performances and he just continued to excel as he went up the age groups, and of course that resulted in a call-up for the first team at Arsenal. In the Europa League in October 2017, he featured in the Europa League against Red Star Belgrade, and after that he didn't really feature too much for Arsenal first team. I think he made an appearance in the League Cup, and then it was just squad games for him, and he only made 2 appearances for the first team at Arsenal. And yeah, it's a shame because he never really featured after that, and hearing those words from Arsene Wenger, you probably thought he was going to be the next midfielder for years to come in the Arsenal midfield, but it wasn't to be for him in an Arsenal shirt. And to get regular game time and to get adapted further to the men's game, he had a lot of loan spells at Stevenage in League 2, he went to Doncaster Rovers, he went to Coventry City, totalling 80 appearances across 3 seasons for those clubs. And loan spells I think really did in the world of good, obviously getting adapted to the men's game, like we've talked about with many players on the channel before who we've signed. It's those loan spells that they've needed that have really propelled their career, to get that good move then to the men's game, to a professional side where he's going to be playing week in week out for them, and that's exactly what happened when he did leave Arsenal. Following his really successful loan spell at Coventry City in the 2021 season, and after a string of really good performances and making an impact in the Championship for the Sky Blues, he got that permanent move back to Coventry, and he goes on to have a very successful career for the Sky Blues, making 145 appearances and also captaining them in the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester United. He played the full 120 minutes, unfortunately missed a penalty in the penalty shootout, but to say that you've captained a Championship side, and we all know at home Coventry City were completely robbed of that game. Ben Sheaf should have been captaining them to the FA Cup final and should have captained them to probably one of the most historic wins in their history, but it wasn't to be in that game. He had a really successful tenure over his 6-year spell at Coventry City, and I think he became a real fan's favourite. Of course, his performances in the lineup, his consistency playing, and in 2024 Sheaf was voted as their player of the season and players player of the season. So just 2 seasons ago he had a really good season for Coventry City in the Championship, really excelling in their midfield. And Wrexham fans at home watching this, you might remember Ben Sheaf did actually score against us in that historic 4-3 win over Coventry City in the FA Cup back in January 2023. So yeah, that's one to note. You might remember that. I think there's a bit on my vlog where they were singing the Ben Sheaf song for that, so yeah, I think we've got a real good player on the cards, and one that I think will just add so much quality to the midfield. Yeah, and I think it doesn't take a genius to look at his spell at Coventry City, the reaction from the fans and how well loved he was from the fans, voting for him as player of the season, and just seeing his stats overall, his consistency in the starting lineup. It's fair to say he had a very successful spell in the Championship for Coventry City, and hopefully that experience and success and quality will now be brought to a newly promoted side in Wrexham Football Club. So what can we expect from Ben Sheaf in a Wrexham shirt? I've got loads of notes now because there is so many attributes that he's going to bring to this midfield, and I do think he's going to bring so much to the midfield. Of course, it's a late signing in the transfer window, but he's a player that I think Phil Parkinson will have been aware of for a large period of time. He's not really played all too much this season for Coventry Coventry. I think that's down to injury, so if he's going to go elsewhere and if there's going to be players coming in ahead of him at Coventry City, and if he's going to struggle to get his place back in that starting lineup, then a fresh start could be needed for Ben Sheaf. But don't get me wrong, it's a very good signing and it's a statement signing from Wrexham Football Club. If we're looking at Sheaf as a player, of course, we all know him, he's a midfielder, but I think it's really important to note that he can be utilised in that central defensive midfield role and in that flat central midfield role as well, so he can play in the number 6 and in the number 8, which I think is something that Phil Parkinson and Park Hyn would have looked at before signing Ben Sheaf and thought that could be something that we could utilise in his time at Wrexham. You know, of course, we play 2 flat central midfielders and we play 1 central defensive midfielder sat just in front of the back 3. So bringing his versatility into the Wrexham team, I think, can only add depth and add more quality in all those areas that he can play. Ben Sheaf has a really good defensive side to his game, and I think that's something we're going to pick up on really early on in his performances in a Wrexham shirt. His defensive side is one of his biggest strengths to his game, and something, like I said, that we'll notice very early on in this Wrexham team. He reads the game really well, he can break up the play really well, especially when Wrexham have got hit on the counter-attack so many times. Ben Sheaf loves a tackle, he loves to get his body in and can break up and just dictate the tempo in the midfield really well. And I've got that in my notes, so he can dictate the tempo and the intensity of the midfield and kind of just the opposition as well. You know, if they're having a lot of the ball, he can, you know, come in and get that tackle, break up the play really well, get the possession back in Wrexham's hands, and we just want that tough tackling midfielder that's going to put his body on the line for us and, you know, be that player that can just sort of dictate not only the midfield but the play all across the pitch. And I think we're getting a player in Ben Sheaf that can definitely do that. I've just talked upon him, you know, putting his body on the line and playing for the badge that he's playing for, and it does look like he loves to get stuck in. He ranks highly for successful tackles won and ground duels won last season in the Championship for Coventry City, and the same can be said for his whole tenure at Coventry City when he's played. He loves to get that tackle in. You know, he's a tough tackling midfielder and a tough midfielder to play against on his day, and there's been a few times this season that I've just talked on where our midfielder's been exposed, especially when we've possibly had a corner or a free kick or, you know, using the wing backs. The midfielders will push up, and then that'll mean Matty James is sort of in that central defensive midfield role, running the midfield on his own. And we know Matty James, he's a good player technically, but when it comes to tracking back, he's not got the legs. Ben Sheaf, you know, he might not be the fastest of players in the world, but he's 27 years old. He's going to have a good engine in the middle of the park, and someone that I think can be brought in to be obviously that player that can break up the play really well and stop those counter-attacks which have hurt us so far this season. In that sense, it's a very logical signing, because if he can do that work really well, he's good technically on the ball, his passing's good, which we'll talk on now. I think it's just overall a very good signing, and one that I think can just propel and boost our midfield from the quality level that's here to here as we go on in the Championship season. If we're looking as well, Ben Sheaf at his time at Coventry City, he was a captain for his large spell of his time at the football club, which means he's going to be a leader on and off the pitch for us, which we have plenty of in the changing room. I think bringing a player, like I said, him, he's coming in as a captain, he'll have that Championship experience, he'll have the knowledge of the league really well. He's led a team out to the FA Cup semi-final against one of the most historical football teams in world history, and I think probably the most historical football team out there, and nearly beating them in extra time. So he'll have that experience, he'll have that game IQ that I think we have a lot in our midfield already, but like I said, bringing further of it into the midfield is not going to do us any harm at all, and I think it's a very good signing. Looking at Coventry City's fans' reactions of obviously his time at Coventry, his composure was highlighted by them as one of his main attributes, as well as his short and long range passing. So I think that's something we can expect to see a lot from Ben Sheaf in a Wrexham shirt. He'll be that player, like I said many times, that will dictate the play, you know, do those passes into the midfield, thread that ball through possibly to the central attacking midfielder to start the attack, or if needed, he could probably play that diagonal ping over to whether it's James McLean, Libby Kakachi, Barnett or Longman. So I think his passing range is something that we can really benefit off as well. And as well, we're talking about a defensive midfielder here in Ben Sheaf, but a player that can also play obviously higher up the pitch. We've seen him play in that number 8 role for Coventry City on a couple of different occasions, but if we're looking at this from Phil Parkinson's point of view, I think we're signing Ben Sheaf to possibly play in that defensive midfield role, which I think we definitely needed. We've got Matty James there, we've got George Thompson, who I think can possibly play there, but we haven't seen him in action yet. So bringing a player of Ben Sheaf that has Championship experience, Championship quality, that you know is going to come into this Wrexham team and be a good player for us and just completely raise the levels in terms of quality and intensity in that midfield, I think is a signing all round that really does make sense. And he's going to be that midfielder that's going to sit in front of the back 3 really well, at that protection, at that defensive cover, which I think we've needed definitely at times this season. So overall, I think it just does add up to be a really good signing and a really logical one from Phil Parkinson. And whether this was in the pipeline for a couple of weeks before the transfer window did end, of course we're in the final couple of hours of the transfer window, we really don't know. But either way, to get him across the line I think is a real steal bit of business, and someone as well I think will just start the transitions up from possibly receiving the ball from playing out from the back, like I've just said, possibly to the wing backs, threading that ball through into the midfield, because we know he's going to be a good player on the ball, his passing range, etc. I think overall it's a signing that we should be really, really excited about, and one that is just going to add so much quality not only to the midfield but to the whole team. So welcome to Wrexham Ben Sheaf as well. If there's any Coventry fans watching this, for some reason I have actually got their 2005-06 home shirt from that season. Don't ask me why, but they've given us an absolute cracking player in Ben Sheaf, and one that I think we'll take care of really, really well, because we're looking at a player like this. We don't know the transfer fee yet, but I'm sure it took a lot of work behind the scenes, because Frank Lampard, being Coventry's manager, he's obviously going to specialise in that central midfield role. We saw him last season, he played a few games under Lampard at Coventry. He was a consistent performer for them. I think he got an average rating of 7 last season for Coventry City, so we're signing a championship proven player who's got so much experience, obviously playing in Europe for Arsenal, playing in a big game for Arsenal in the League Cup. He's played in an FA Cup semi-final, and he's just got 150 appearances in the Championship. I think it's even more than that for Coventry City, so you cannot beat a player that's got Championship experience under their belt, especially in a team like Wrexham, who obviously have got promoted from League One. We're at the best point we've been at in 40 years, and more importantly, we're at a stage in a season that we've not been in since 40 years ago in the early 1980s. So to bring these Championship proven players in to solidify our place in the Championship and really kick on in the table is just going to do us the world of good. Like I've said many times, it's a signing I'm very, very excited about and very, very happy about. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the signing of Ben Sheaf. I'd love to hear your rating out of 10. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like, make sure to subscribe as well, and turn the notification bell on if you are new. There's a lot of people out there saying they don't get notifications for my videos. They have to type in my name to find the videos, so it's a bit annoying on that front, but if you could click the notification bell, it will mean you'll be notified every time a video does come to the channel. It'll pop up in your YouTube notification inbox, so if you'd like to keep up to date, that's the way to go about it. And until the next video, take care guys, and what a busy deadline day it's going to be in terms of incomings and outgoings. But until the next video, take care guys, up the town.